it's not easy as imagined. It's a hard job. I like it's not easy. He has tweeted that, so we can know that like he's still not into that. Like completely level 5 self-driving car still is not in the market, but he's doing a great job, I can say, because Tesla Autopilot is one of the cars. Like it has 8 surrounded cameras, which can see the 360 degrees visibility up to a range of 250 meters, and then it has 12 ultrasonic sensors. I think right? Like ultrasonic sensor is used for parking and all, like for shorter distances and all. So yeah, these are some of the sensors which is available. I think you triple students, like you are into much sensors, and also I think you might be knowing all these things much than me. So yeah, this you can see the forward facing radar sensor which is presented in this picture, like various sensors, like how it's detecting and all. So yeah, it can detect in heavy rain, fog and dust and all. So that is more important, like your vision should not be disturbed. So this is one of the examples I wanted to show you. And then yeah, what makes up a driving task? So what is actually like making a driving task is, so for example, okay, if I want, okay, let me put it in this view itself. Okay, so uh, actually, if you need to drive a car, you do the steering, you do the braking and accelerating, right? So we have like lateral control. Lateral is like left to right, and longitudinal is like front and back. So you can control the steering, you can control the brake and acceleration, and you need to detect the object, event and detection, like what is the object beside you. Without hitting, you should make the sensor senses and then gives a response, right? So it's not as object, event detection and response, so the reaction and all. So and planning is like long term and short term plans. So why I wanted to tell you is, so these are the things which you need to consider for a driving task. So miscellaneous is nothing but, for example, let's imagine we are making a self-driving car. So we need to control the speed of the car. You need to control the lateral, the steering of the car. You need to detect the objects. Like for example, suddenly a passenger comes. You know that a passenger is coming. You should not hit that person, and you apply brake suddenly. But the system should know that, right? Like the AI, the ML, all these they take various data into consideration and they detect and then apply the brake. So and the business is nothing but like what happens is, for example, let's imagine I'm driving a car and there's someone beside me who's gonna take a U-turn, and he just signals me like, "Arey bhai, I'm gonna take a U-turn." I'm like, "Okay, fine, take it." I just stop the car. So this is nothing but understanding between me and him, driver understanding. And sometimes when we go, we say that like, "Let me go." We give some signals. These are like miscellaneous signals. So this is something which we do it here. Like most of the times we do it, but these you need to give it to the system. So for example, if you're taking a right turn, you give a signal, then we can know that the backside car, okay, the signal is given, I can see the light blinking, and then I can stop. But sometimes we don't even give signal, and we just put our hand outside and we say that, and we just do the turns and all. So that thing, to bring it into self-driving cars, it's a bit difficult task, I can say. So yeah. uh, so the goals for perception, we have like static and dynamic goals for perception. Like perception is like you need to know the things what is happening around you well in advance. So the static is nothing but the stationary, all of you know that. And you have the lane marks and all, right? Like all the off-road, all the signals, like construction is going on, the road is closed and also the car stops, and the car understands that it cannot go that way and it can take a diversion because a board is there. But what if a board is not there? Like you have a big pit in on the road, and also that's a bit tricky thing where you need to consider. So these are the things which you need to consider: the construction science, all that. So these are the static objects for the perception, and the dynamic are nothing but the moving. You know, the people, the cars, the vehicles, all that, the pedestrians. So all these comes under dynamic goals of perception. So yeah, these are some of the SAE classifications. As I was saying, that level 0 to level 5, we have self-driving cars. So level 0 is nothing but it has nothing, no vehicle control. It has like many issue warnings and all. Level 5 is like everything is there in that, no human interaction at all. The car drives on its own, which is not at all in the market till now. The level 4 is like, I'll just tell you about the levels in the coming slides. You can just give a look, you can just overview it, you can just read through it, and you can just tell me when it's done, and then I can move to the next slide, because I don't want to read all this just like that. You can just give a thumbs up or something like that so that I can go to the next slide. I think I'm sorry. My screen is not visible, right? Yeah, someone can say that like I can go to the next slide, then I'll be moving to the next slide.
એ પાણી છે. Harshini, see that nobody will unmute the mic.
Okay, ma'am.
Just remove them if they are creating any disturbance.
So can I go to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, so these are the levels which you have seen already. So this is like level 1 driving. It's known as driving assistance. So you have the longitudinal and also the lateral, which you have discussed already. So I have, as I have mentioned already, so longitudinal is like nothing but the steering and sorry, it's the accelerating and then the braking. Lateral is like the steering, the left and the right, the steering control. So these both you need to control, right? So for example, you have two things, two technical terms: adaptive cruise control, ACC, we give the short form for it, and we have the lane keeping assistance, LKA, we can say that. So this adaptive cruise control can control the speed, and driver has to just steer. So you can just set a speed and then you can just leave your car. You just have to steer. You don't need to use your legs. If some okay, if you like, I hope like many of you know driving. So you just need to control the speed and then you can just use the steering. So that's pretty easy, right? Like you don't need to use your legs. So you just need to control on steering, just like a small baby who's just controlling some small kind of car or something like that. So that's that way. And then you have the lane keeping assistance. Oh, sorry. Can everyone mute your mics, please? Okay, thank you so much. So you have the lane keeping assistance. So lane keeping assistance is nothing but you have the different markings on the line, right, on the road, right? So it can help you to stay in your line. So it just doesn't move. It makes you move away from your line, but you just need to control the speed on your own. So this is nothing but these both are like vice versa. That you have to steer. This you have to accelerate and brake, but it will not move you away from the road. So either of the one, like at least a longitudinal, it takes the control. Like you need to steer or you need to do the accelerating or braking. So not the both, but only the one. If it's there, then it's level 1. Okay. I think I made sense. Like in these both, it will be having one. That is known as driving assistance. It's level 1. And the level 2 is nothing but partial driving automation. So what happens is I just explained you the longitudinal and lateral, being in the lane, or you just want to set up the speed. So in this, if both are there, then it's known as level 2 car. in the self-driving cars. So you have the GM, the General Motors Super Cruise, and Nissan Pro Pilot Assist. So this is one of the cars, like he's just sitting like that because he knows that it takes the steering takes into control, and also the acceleration and brake also, it's like in his control. So he's just watching the road, but if something goes wrong, then you need to make it wrong. So both of these takes into picture, then it's known as partial driving automation. So yeah, this is level 2 car. And the level 3, yeah, so in this level 3 what happens is like it OEDR also comes into picture. Object and event detection and ranging the response. So what happens is the simple, like you need to detect the object, just I told the sensor. For example, a person is driving in front of you, you need to detect the object, and the sensor detects the image and then tells that something is in front of you. Then the sensor gives the prompt to the signal and it shows up, and then it applies a brake. So this is nothing but it detects and then gives the sensor gives a response, and the response the system takes and then shows the output. So it's like that. So this is also there. Then all these three are there. Then it's conditional driving automation, which is level 3 car. Okay, Audi A8, like this has this all the three. It's a level 3 or self-driving car. So yeah, these are the levels. Like I have told you, like we have 5 levels included automated. This OEDR also is there in this car. So it's pretty good car because like you have all the three and it's a level 3 car. So yeah, we have the level 4 car as well. I have told you like the Google's car, the Waymo. So this is level 4 car, and you can see that longitudinal, the lateral, the OEDR, and the fallback. So what happens is in OEDR also, you know that the sensors works well, but what happens is like you should keep an eye on the road. You cannot just leave the car like that. But in fallback, what happens is you can just leave the car and you can see the picture of a person just reading the book. You can just sit in a car and you can read the book, and the you can just fall back, but everything the car takes care on its own. So you can see the picture in this, right? The car with the laptop and all the seats are being arranged just like how we have our lunch or something like that in our college. We all together, we chit chat and we just have fun together, right? So we don't have nothing. You can see the lights which is being in front, but no one is facing towards that side because no one is watching the road. They can just sit in a car and they can just chill out. The car takes you to the place where you want to go. So this is Waymo. Like you can just sit back, you can just fall back. It's a level 4 car. So yeah, and yeah, this is level 5 car. Yeah, which I told you, right? Like they are working on this, and then it might come into picture soon, I believe. So all this longitudinal, lateral, OEDR, the fallback, and the unlimited ODD, it's like operational design domain. You have all these things together in this car. So this is the level 5 high driving automation car. So these are the different levels in a self-driving. One of the important things which we need to know about self-driving cars. So I just wanted to tell you about this, and yeah, I just tell you about the sensors as well. So you have the radar, right? Like radio detection and ranging. So to detect like dangerous objects in the vehicle's path, like that are more than 100 meters away. So like we have the accident prevention systems, like it triggers a spot, like blind cars blind spot and all. You have in the mirrors, you have the small mirror and all, right? So all that, like it can detect like the near close by objects and all. And the radar chips like 10 and 11 gigahertz and all this, like over a 5 millisecond period. All this, I think you can read this, it's self-explanatory. And so these are the radar sensors which are being in a car. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you about these sensors. Like actually, yeah, I wanted to tell you about the pros and cons in a car. So what are the advantages and disadvantages in a car? Like it makes our roads safer. Yes, it makes our roads safer. It free up people's time. Yes, we just can sit back and we can just read our things just like a girl who's reading here. It's pretty easy. So it saves our time. You can do something else instead of wasting your time in the traffic and all. Nowadays the traffic is a lot of traffic and all. It takes more time and all. So it improves the mobility for everyone. Like I have shown you the Arma car, bus, right, where it's electric and it takes the people without a driver. assistance much. So it improves the mobility for every people. You can also see that the disabled people, like where an old man is being carried in his wheelchair and all. So it improves the traffic and it's fuel efficient. Yeah, I can say this because uh, actually I when I was in my car team, so I was the racer for my car team. So I have studied some rules and all regarding the racing. Like most of the youngsters here, they do like racing and all, right? So do you know that like when you race a car, you need to change the gear at a particular moment of time when you race, when you accelerate the car. So you need to know the exact time, like when to change the gear also. Even that has got much linked with your fuel efficiency. So you cannot just change the first gear and then accelerate and then second, then third. It's not like that. You have to give some time, and you need to have a particular point of time when you need to change the gear also. So we don't know that, but the system knows that. So the system knows like when to change gears and all. So it's fuel efficient, obviously, and it's easy parking because like human is not involved, obviously. While parking and all, we do make some mistakes, and then our car gets hit to another car or some wall or something like that. It's pretty stressful, I can say, because park a car on a road, it's like very hard to see like where it fits in, and the place also sometimes you don't understand. You get down and then check whether it's if it's sufficient or not. So it's yeah, it's easy parking. And but the I should say like the negatives, it's expensive. Obviously, it's expensive car because all the technology, all the sensors, it's costly. And the computer malfunction, yeah, could cause crashes. If a sensor doesn't work, then you cannot just fall back because everything goes something wrong, right? Hacking problems, yes, even your phones, everything is being hacked. So a self-driving car can be hacked as well, and then it's a difficult thing. Road systems need upgrades. Yeah, you need like a proper lane marking system, and if something goes wrong in the road and all, your car might not respond properly. And the ethical problems as well, yes. So these are the things like what I was telling about. You can see all the cars and all the bus. It is having some signals, some ranging. It like you can see this like it's being detecting the environment through the sensors and through the ranging system. So you can see like what will it prefer between going into a group of school children and going off of this. Like it's giving the different cases. Like what is more priority, or like how can a self-driving car make a decision like a human? Yeah, this is just a picture of it. Yeah, vehicular automation. So vehicular automation involves the use of like mechatronics, artificial intelligence to assist a vehicle's operator. These features and the vehicles employ like all the intelligence and all the AI and all the ML which comes into picture, which everyone is working towards it. And then yeah, these are the different sensors in a car. Okay, you have the radar, the optics, the lidar, the GPS, the processors, the wheel speed sensors, and all. So I just wanted to tell you like about like some different sensors. I'll just give you some insights. Obviously, you all know about this. I don't know that. So yeah, some of the sensors which needs for perception are these. You can see the radar where it's present in a car, like on the top, light detection and ranging, the video cameras, and the ultrasonics. I just told you, right? Like it's used for parking and also front bonnet though, and also the rear it has near. See here you can see that rear also it can have because parking it needs to detect the front and the back, right, while parking. So it has those sensors over there, and you have the radar sensors as well. The central computer which takes care of all the sensors and all. So we have the just like the GPS also, like this GPS for the positioning of the car where it is and all. So these are like different sensors, like where it's placed and all. Okay, I hope I'm not boring you because okay, I just want to tell like there are two categories in sensors. Like we have some pretty interesting slides which is coming over. Obviously, you will learn some things and all in the coming slides. Sensors like it's that there are two types like extra and proprio. Extra is like outside and proprio is internal sensors. Like we have already discussed these. So the sensors for perception, the camera, it's very essential. The camera is the first sensor, like which can visualize the object which is there in front of you. In camera, you need to consider many things. Even while you're buying a phone, you see that the pixel PPI, you see the resolution. What is that? 1980? It's 4K or that. You see like. Obviously, like people who are into DSLR and SLR, you know that like you see like how well a camera works and all. So field of view, the dynamic range, all these things you consider. Okay. And the optics, yeah, a camera mounted near the rear view mirror build a 3D image of the road ahead. Like this is one of the examples of the optics which is there. It's also used to identify the road markings. Like as I already told you, it needs to detect the road markings and all. So this is one of the example which is given here. And the lidar, like yeah, light detection and range, so which is mounted on the roof. So you people know that, right? Like for example, the light sensor, like light travels like a faster, light is faster, right? It travels faster, so it can travel like long distance in short period of time. So that is the reason why we get a light first and then the sound during thunder, because both happens at a time, but light travels faster. So it comes first and then we get the sound. So that's why for shorter distances for parking and all, we use the ultrasonic sensors, but for longer distances you use the radar. So yeah, the laser beams that bounces off a mirror, that is like it's saying, you know, the laser and all, like how far it travels and all. So this is, I just wanted to tell you that importance of the lidar, bouncing of objects, laser returns. If you can read these things while I'm just explaining, then the vision from it on all, because I'll just wait for a minute so that you guys can read over it just like that. Generates a map of its surroundings and use the map to avoid the objects. Okay. And then we have the GPS, the global positioning system, which is very important. We need to know like where we are, the positioning, the positioning, like where our car is, and then detect like how much time it takes to go to a place. It's like it's over here, like you can see in the picture, right? Like keeps the car accuracy of 30 centimeters, like with GPS covering the macro location of the car. The smaller on the cameras can recognize smaller details like red light, stop signs, and construction zones. It can detect it because in your map itself you can know where the traffic is there, where too many vehicles are there. It shows some red, right? When there's a lot of traffic. So even the, yeah, that is GPS, like it shows in Google Maps. So that is the place where the GPS is present in a self-driving car. Yeah, these wheel speed sensor, this is like pretty interesting. Actually, we have a separate team in Hyundai who works on wheel speed sensors, and it's very important because you need to know the speed of the each wheel uh, while the car is going. So it senses the speed of the wheels, because you know your front wheels are in running, like all the normal vehicles. Your front wheels are the ones which rotates. You have the engine in front, obviously. So you need to know, you need to sense the speed, because while you're using like ABS and all, what happens is in a slippery road, your car tends to slip when there's a lot of water beneath it, right? So you need ABS. Like what ABS does is like it brakes, like it leaves, brakes leaves. So when you have this braking and leaving of the car, it will not uh, just skid away. It will just try to bring your car towards straight position. For example, when it's going like this, it tries to bring it towards straight so that the ABS is there. So that's what I'm saying, the angular braking system and the electronic stability or control, like it controls. So this wheel speed sensor is one of the important thing, and we have a separate team, like two Korean engineers and like two to three Indians who are working on this wheel speed sensors. They design and they do the analysis of various wheel speed sensors and all. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you about this. So yeah, this slide like sensors, ECU, and the actuators. Like I think you know all these, like lidar, radar, GPS, wheel speed, optical image, and all. And the electronic control unit, you have like software, decision making, the checking functionality, user interface. ECU takes care of all that, right? Like it shows that the fuel ratio, like how much of fuel and air ratio mixing and all that. Like ECU, I have worked like back in my college days where we have connected that ECU to our laptop. Like not me, but one of my seniors, like who is into ECE, like he has worked on it. Like actually, I'm not much into the sensors and all, but I'm just learning these things, and like I'm just trying to gain as much knowledge as possible from this. I'm a CAE person, a mechanical engineer, of course. But yeah, so it's the servo motors and relays. You have the steering wheel control, brake control, throttle control, all that. You have these controls. So yeah, these are the potential advantages. You have the fewer traffic collisions, the increased roadway capacity. So yeah, fewer traffic collisions. I just wanted to tell you an example. Hope you find this example interesting. It's not an example; it's a real life scenario which took place in my life. I just wanted to share that with you. So what happened is before you can just read out these examples, these advantages. We have already discussed this. So actually, like some of my friends, I think 2 years back, they were traveling to a place, and then they met with an accident. So actually, what happened is there was a road, so the straight road, and then we had a 90 degrees turn, but the road uh, seemed to be pretty straight. They didn't know that there was a 90 degrees turn, so they just went. They were like on a at a good speed, and then when there was a 90 degrees turn, there was no board over there that the road is, and it was fields over that side. And then what happened is the driver who is driving, like one of my friend, I just don't want to mention the names and all. So he just what he did is he just steered it, he and applied a brake suddenly. So what happens is when your car is like, for example, 80, 90 kilometers per hour, and then you apply a brake, then just imagine what will happen to your car. So when you're on that speed, you apply a brake, the car topples like 2 to 3 rounds, and that's what it happened for the car, for my friends who were traveling there. So luckily, I can say like with God's grace, like everyone is fine now, like with some small injuries, some femur bone fracture and all that. But what just wanted to tell, why I wanted to tell you this example is like I just wanted, for example, let's imagine that was a self-driving car. The person was not involved. You know, then the accidents which occur on the roads, it's like 90%. I can say I have read in a survey that 94% of the accidents which occurs, it's because of human errors. We make mistakes and we do accidents. It's not the system failure or something like that, because system doesn't fail that easily, because there are n number of analysis and n number of iterations which is being done on the system, the sensors, the crash pad and all, which is being done. So it is our own mistakes which we do, and then we end up in an accident. So never apply a brake when you're on a top speed, even though you see something. Use your steering to control it. So this is the thing what I learned, or like what I have been seeing in some journals and all. So you just, when you're on a top speed, if something comes in, just steer it. If you apply a brake, what happens is, inertia, right? Like if your car is on that top speed and then suddenly you apply a brake, what happens? The complete 90 it cannot come to zero. So it just uses that inertia. So that's what it happened. So I just wanted to tell you this example because I just wanted to share this example. Like if you imagine a self-driving car, it knows that something is there, and it will not apply brake because it knows that like it will topple, so it will just control the steering on its own. But a human brain cannot make that fast the decisions. It's not that fast. We cannot say that a road is there. It takes some time, right? You need to detect that a road is 90 degrees, and then, oh my god, a road is 90 degrees. You analyze, oh my god, I need to apply a brake. It's like, I'll show you the time difference also. It's pretty interesting. I wanted to show you these things actually. So yeah, I think you have done reading these advantages, right? Because these are just general common topics: removal of constraints, elimination of redundant. All these are like normal things which I've already smoother ride and all. Yeah, this is the thing. Okay, is my screen? Oh, sorry. My screen not visible completely. I don't know why it's. Okay. One second. It's like that. Okay. So yeah, you can read this. Like I was just telling about this. There are about 5.5 million crashes per year in the US. The US takes like more of data survey, and also this the reason we have this survey from them. We have that's like one death every 15 minutes. So our presentation has started at 6 o'clock. It has been 1 year. You can imagine like one death 15 minutes, like 4 deaths has already happened. So 88 deaths per day. So this is the crash level. What is happening? You know what? Number of people who die in car crashes are more than people who die due to COVID. But yeah, like we get scared of COVID, right? Like COVID-19, everyone is wearing a mask and all, but accidents are happening even more. So yeah, that's the thing. people are not great at driving actually, because yeah, we do make mistakes. So that's the reason for this slide. The less congestions. So, oh, one of the actually, like traffic jams. I think so harsh on them. There's traffic jams which we face on our roads, because you can see like not only on our roads, like everywhere in the world. I can see like I live in high tech city, so there we have a four course road. Like always, it's always traffic jam. Like many people comes and no one moves, and we don't have a traffic light or we don't have a traffic police over there. So it's because of the selfish behavior of the drivers. Like everyone wants to go fast, so no one follows the rule and all. So what happens in four dimension? Like all the vehicles jammed and no one moves, and it takes a lot of time. We quarrel and we waste a lot of time. So all this happens because of our own mistakes. So no need for high traffic officers, because we can know that like traffic officers, they stand in hot sun and then they control the traffic and all, even though we have the traffic lights, because uh, it's pretty hard job, right? Like it's for them, it's very tough, because they can also sit at home and just monitor from their computers, but that doesn't happen, right? Because they need to be on the road to control us, because sometimes over speeding and also sometimes some mistakes what humans do and all that comes into picture. This is the slide of it. So don't follow a speed limit and all. So yeah, this is one of the interesting slides what I wanted to show you. Human versus computer. So in the first place, like you have the human and then you have the computer. So what it is like this, please look into this slide a bit careful, because this is pretty interesting actually. I think it'll be very useful for you. A human takes about 2 seconds to react and press the brake. So I told you, right, in my friend's case. So it takes 2 seconds for a human to react and press the brake, but a computer takes about zero point 0.3 seconds to compute and apply the brake. Just imagine, zero point 0.3 is pretty very fast, right? That's computer. So reaction and deceleration, right? Reaction is nothing but like how much time it takes for you to react, and deceleration is like how much time the car takes to come into a stop. Okay. Now, if let's imagine a human is traveling at 10 miles per hour. It takes, like for example, uh, 27 feet, like total reaction plus deceleration. So when you're flying 10 miles per hour, it's pretty, it's like a bit slow. So it takes 27 feet. But for a computer, 10 miles per hour takes only 8 feet. So you know that the reaction time is pretty slow. The computer doesn't, if you, for example, if you're taking a photo or something like that, you show a face, then it detects the face, right? So it doesn't have much reaction time. The reaction of the sensor is pretty fast. The human brain takes some time, obviously. So 30 miles per hour, 109 feet. 109 feet is what? Like the car is moving at 30 miles per hour, you apply a brake, and then the car comes into stop after 109 feet. Okay? 109 feet. So 30 miles per hour, X CPU, the self-driving car, there's no human is driving, it takes only 53 feet. It's like half. So, for example, let's imagine there's a truck in front of you, a car is there. You didn't see the truck. You were on phone or you were just looking beside or something like that, and then apply a brake. The car goes and touches the truck, and the car, like half the car is into the truck. Like I don't want to mention. I think you have been. I think there's someone called like Katti Mahesh or someone like that, like who is into cinema, right? So he has met with an accident. I think you have seen that picture, like where the Innova, I guess, Innova has been like the bonnet and all the seat, like the truck. He has gone into the truck, and he's met with an accident. I don't know like how he's feeling now or something like that, but I have seen that picture. I remember. So that is the reaction time and also the deceleration which happened to his car because he was driving. So so that is the distance how much it travel, like the reaction and so that's just for an example, guys. Like I just wanted, because that's a recent one which happened, so I just took that. So no offense. So yeah, if your car is traveling 60 miles per hour, it takes like around 304 feet. The reaction and the deceleration, it like both are like somewhat like similar, 304 feet, but here it takes only 192 feet. And if you take 90 miles per hour, where an accident can happen, it's 584 feet. Your car travels 584 feet, but 90 miles per hour, 416 feet. Just imagine 400, 584 is like 600. So 200 feet extra. What if the 200 feet is the distance where your car can stop just right behind the truck? You're saved, right? So self-driving car saves you. So what if 200 feet only difference? You should not think like that. What if the 200 feet is your car region where it goes inside and then sad and it's more disturbing for all of us. So we wanted to compare the feed, and I just found this slide pretty interesting for you guys so that you can just look into it. So yeah, the potential obstacles you can just read on out these. So what are the obstacles like the software reliability, the cyber security, all this comes into picture. So the loss of privacy, the loss of driver related jobs, yeah, of course, like everyone finds like self-driving cars because when you create something new, obviously you have some loss to the people. For example, you don't have Uber and Ola before, but now we have Uber and Ola where you can book the Uber from your home itself. But now what's happening, the public transport, no one is traveling in bus. Like the auto people who doesn't know like how to use the Uber, Ola and all, they are being affected. But do you think that Uber, Ola should not be there? It's very tough, right, for the old age people and also for your parents. If you want to book something, you rely on Uber and Ola. You can see the prices in your phone itself and then book. So that is advancement, that is technology. When technology upgrades, something is lost. Obviously some good things, some bad things happen, because everything good cannot happen, everything bad cannot happen. So this is there. So this is the some obstacles which is like loss of privacy, like loss of driver related jobs, obviously, like all these things comes into picture. So this is a slide which I just wanted to show you, and you can just go through it. And then after some time, I think I don't know like how many slides are left. Yeah, so I think do it, and then I'll go to the next slide if I'm done. Just tell me like okay, we can go to the next slide, so that I'll go to the next slide. It's done.
Done.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So yeah, this is like the hardware comparison of the human eye and also the human brain. Okay, so the human, not the comparison actually, just the some useful information. So I was just telling this till now, like you might be thinking like, okay, the computer is great and human make mistakes, we have selfish behavior, all this. I was saying like, what is this, he's also a human, how is he saying like this? No, obviously humans are super brains. Like obviously a computer is nothing in front of a human, I can say, because the human eye can see like 576 megapixels. The finest digital camera sensor today has only 50 megapixels. That powerful your eyes is. So obviously you have a very good eyesight, which no sensor or nothing is there in the present world. So that powerful your eye is. And the human brain, all the microchips on the earth. Just imagine, like, you have watched like Robo 2 movie or something like that, where I don't know Robo 2. I don't know. Okay, all the phones and all comes, and then the villain comes and all. So you just imagine all the microchips you collect and then execute. You have 6.4 into 10 power 18 calculations every second. So that powerful your human brain is. That's roughly equal to like one human brain. So that powerful your human brain is. It's not like we make wrong decisions or not. It just takes some time. Like sometime it depends from person to person, obviously, I can say. So this powerful your eyes and this powerful your human brain is. So but the innovations which is being there in the present world, I'll just speak about that like in the coming slide. Yeah, I just wanted to conclude that I think I gave you some insights about the autonomous driving cars and CAE, what is being there, and some examples as well. And this is just a conclusion, like You just can read through it, like, you know, safety warnings and traffic information. Autonomous cars integrated with vehicular communication systems can be more effective in avoiding crashes. Yeah, it can be more effective in avoiding crashes, I would say. But what happens is, like, when we are testing the autonomous vehicles, like Waymo and all, it has met. Even the Tesla has met with an accident, like a car which collided with a bus, and then so many things came into picture. Even the Navy, Army, everyone is working towards self-driving cars. There's a lot of investment which is being done towards self-driving cars. But what happens is when a small accident occurs, so there is so many objections and so many things which needs to be considered, and then that research and all stops. So because a life which is being lost in such accident, because Tesla itself, like I have heard that the level 4 self-driving car, it met with an accident, it hit onto a tree, and then the two people, like one of them lost their lives and all. So it is very sad, and it's very stressful for us to hear such things. So when something like that happens, like a lot of news nowadays, media makes that highlight, and then it's a lot of stress for the companies also, car companies also, to make these decisions come into picture. So it's very tough. But yeah, it's very stressful for them. And I can say that, like, actually I have been recently admitted into University of Waterloo as a research assistant. So what happens is, in that university, one engineering student, like just like you people, like many of you, he has made one of the autonomous electric car. So it's known as Autonomous. What is like Waterloo and autonomous? Waterloo plus autonomous. And he has got $5.6 billion from US to use that same technology into the US trucks. So like he is now in collaboration with the US government. So like when you bring something into existence, we don't know like where it goes. So it's not like something is tough and then you don't work towards that. It's like we work on that particular thing and then we bring that into existence. That's when we all feel happy, and also there's something that we are giving back to the society. So that's when we do the thing. So I just want to conclude with that, and I just want to thank you all for patiently listening to my webinar. And yeah, this is the last slide. Like, thank you so much for your patience and for listening to all the things what I have told. I hope I made some points. I don't know, like I have made everything clear. I was on a faster pace or something like that. Okay, I apologize if I was on a faster pace, and please feel free to ask, like, if you have any doubts or something like that in my PPT, or if you want to know some things of my work or something like that also, you can feel free. I think I'll just stop sharing my screen so that like we can have a discussion. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I stopped sharing, right? Yeah. So
Yes, the participants can ask questions if you have any queries.
Hi sir, very good evening. I am Dattatreya sir from Mechanical Engineering.
hi.
Sir, without marking on possible to a automatic car, is it, sir? Means it is not possible at
yeah, that's the thing. So actually, like the cars what we have, the cars what we presently have, like they do the lane marking assistance systems using the image detection and all. So you can also use the, as you told, like we don't have many roads, we don't have the markings and all. You can make a sensor like where you can give the input to the system that it can detect only the road as well. So you need to make that into consideration, then you can build a self-driving car. But currently I don't think there are self-driving cars without, like, if we don't have the markings on the road and all. It needs to have some markings on the road because it's
And one more question,
yeah.
sir. Yeah, means if there are some animals on the road, if we are in self-driving car, then animals means it go in one direction. Human will not go in which he unable to decide which direction to go. I think it's the major problem for creating a self-driving car. Means he can go in any direction when the car is on the road.
Yes, that's correct. You don't know like when the animal or like when it comes on the road, and then you don't know like when to apply brake and all. Like many accidents we see on highways, right? I feel very sorry. Like some cats and all, some dogs which is being laid on the road with blood all over. So yeah, it's very tough, but it's not like impossible because we have like pedestrian safety which comes into picture. But we don't have it for animals. But we have for pedestrian safety, which we do an analysis actually. Like for example, a car is going and the pedestrian is on the road, and his head hits onto the bonnet region, right? So what people do is like bonnet region, they lift it a bit higher so that the intrusion happens for the bonnet, so that the impact of the head on the bonnet is reduced. And also we have the airbags, windshield airbags, which comes into picture. The moment the impact happens, the airbags open, and then it doesn't cause much what is it called, much injury to the head. So that's where I have been working, and I'm going to work in future as well. So that is one of the major impacts which is on humans. But on the animals, as you have told, there is no such detection because the animals, like, it's pretty short and all, and it's not that easy to detect the animal. But of course, like you have told, if we have the image sensing on the front bonnet region, the below bumper region, I can say, so it can detect the animal and it can respond and then stop the vehicle. Of course, we can plan for that as well.
No, sir. What I would like to say is, means if there is an animal on the road when we are in self-driving car, it will, when we horn, it will go in one direction only. If there is a human on the road, he may go any direction. We cannot predict the actions of human. That's what I would like.
Correct. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, I do understand. Yes. So anyone else? Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, Sunil, the present technology or the present thing, one good thing, like one thing which is happening in the innovations is, as I've been working in the industry, the things are moving from gasoline to electric things. You know why? If you ask me, uh, I can say that like electric cars are, it's less polluting to the environment, and also you don't have much oil left in the world. Okay, now you have that, like, you're buying oil from Saudi Arabia and all. So the oil prices, that it's like 99 or 100 something like that. It's pretty difficult for myself itself, for going, because to the petrol prices are rising heavily. And the electric cars, like one charge, it goes like 350 400 kilometers, and the electricity is a bit cheap compared to the petrol prices. And also one more thing is why the innovation is happening towards the e-commerce is, that like in India, like the major, like, India, it has the highest population, 140 crore population, and the people are more liking towards the electric vehicles. It's one because of the benefits which the government is giving nowadays, like it's giving the tax benefits, the tax deductions, all the subsidiary things. And also we have some technologies which is being developed nowadays for the electric vehicles, the battery systems which can be replaced at a time. And we have the much innovations being happened, the total engine can be removed and the whole battery can be replaced with, instead of engine. So this is the thing which most of the people are working on it, because I can say the one thing is the pollution, the other thing is the cost of the petrol which is not being available. The third thing I can say is, I feel that if we have electric stations all over the place where we have the petrol bunks, I think every one of us will be buying an electric car, or only that's the reason why we are stopping ourselves to buy, instead of buying electric car, we are buying the petrol or the gasoline ones. So yeah, that's the thing, Sunil. I think I made the valid point.
Sir, what kind of
So,
batteries now we have, sir, in market?
Yeah.
Long-lasting batteries.
Oh, okay. Actually, yeah, that's a good question. But unfortunately, I'm not much into the batteries. Like I don't know, like what kind of batteries or what brand of batteries we are using, because those details are not being revealed. But I can share some insights to you. Well, the thing is, like, we have the batteries in a packed manner. Like, we have the batteries not only in the front, we have below the roof. I mean, below our seats, like where we sit and all, in the roof, not the roof, the bottom, it's being aligned in a cell-wise manner. So if you ask me the brand of the battery, I cannot say that, because I didn't do much research on it. But if you ask me, like, where it's being placed, I can say that, because I'm involved in the designing and the placement. Like, where it is, I can say that. Unfortunately, like, the which brand, if you ask me, I'm not much into it.
Sir, is there a such kind of energy sources available? Means long-lasting energy sources.
uh, Long-lasting energy sources, in the sense, like, I can say that, like, we have the solar cars, where we have the solar panel on the roof. It's like, it takes the sun's rays into consideration, and then the car, some of the things in some of the elements in your car works. And the battery, you know that, like, it needs to be charged. And what else we know, these are like some of the long lasting, I can say, because the batteries also last pretty long. It's not like something which spoils in a day or two. You can keep changing the batteries pretty easily. That's the technology which actually I have read in one of the articles. Just imagine, we don't have that currently. So what happens is, like, for example, you have a car and you have the batteries. And if, for example, if you're out of your batteries, and then you need to recharge the car, but you don't have the time to recharge the car. So what you do is, you just go to a station. The whole pack which is being there in your car, it just goes, and then which is being already charged, it comes and fits into your car. So that's pretty easy, right? Like, it takes very less time. Just it removes, it fills. Even the time taken to fill the petrol in your car takes more time. So that is mag I have read in one of the magazines, which I found it interesting, and I wanted to share for you. So it's pretty easy, and it's one of the long lasting things, I can say, as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's good question, but uh, if you ask me, actually, I can say that my personal, if you ask me, like, my personal point of view, I can share that with you. But the thing is, actually, I work for Hyundai R&D, and if I won't say Hyundai, it's some problem. It, it might occur or something like that. But according to my observation, I'll just be frank. The thing is, if you're going to buy a car, if you consider only the safety aspect into consideration, and you can know that, like, level 5 rating cars and level 4 rating cars, they are there. Like, you have the different stars, right? Not the level, the stars, like 5-star rating, 4-star rating. You can just google, like, which car has the more safety rating and all. I think, like, Tata and Mahindra are a bit stronger compared to Hyundai. But if you consider the all the, what is that called, the technology and all the comfort for the driving, the electronic steering, and also the design of the car, which looks, the steel finish, the leather finish, all that, you get a rich look, a rich feel when you sit in a car. It's like Hyundai is very good. And of course, safety also, it has got good safety. It's not like very less safety. So if you want everything together in a car, then people go for Hyundai. That's the reason, like, it's being sold, like, it's being one of the topmost selling cars in India and all over the world as well. So it's not like I'm working for Hyundai, I'm telling like this, but seriously, I really feel like a very good feel when I drive Hyundai cars. It gives the same feel as you drive the top end cars. Because, like, I have driven like BMW, all that things. But seriously, when you drive Seltos or Kia Sonet, just see the feel, like how you feel when you drive the car. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Yeah, it's okay. So anyone have, like, you can ask general doubts or something like that also, if you have.
Yes, mechanical students and electrical, you can also ask about the placements or the opportunities what you can have in his area. Is there anybody to question?
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah, yes, sir.
I
Please
yeah,
explain,
yeah.
sir. I will.
I'll explain. So yeah, actually for mechanical students, like you have, for example, you have like design CAD teams, and also you have like analysis teams, like CAE teams in the market. Like actually, you need to learn some tools for getting into the market. Actually, so back then in my colleges, I have learned CATIA, SolidWorks. I have used some Hypermesh as well. I have used Lotus suspension, all that tools. So what I would recommend is, if you like designing things and if you like doing design and all, I would recommend you to learn some design tools, so that which is being used in the industry. For designing, you can learn CATIA. CATIA is one of the most important tool which is being used in the industry nowadays. Unigraphics also, Creo, which is being some companies are using, but CATIA is a major one. Hyundai uses CATIA actually. So CATIA, we have a separate team which sits like opposite to us. They use the CATIA tool. And also, if you like much into analysis, the safety, the all that testing and all that, you need to learn some FEM like CAE, like Hypermesh and ANSA are the two tools. Hypermesh and ANSA, these both are the two tools which is being used for pre-processing. Pre-processing is like I told you, right? The meshing and all that, because you need that pre-processing, the meshing and all that to do an analysis. So these are the both tools which are the only tools available for meshing. There's no other tool, because in ANSYS and all you get the direct mesh. These both tools are two major tools for pre-processing. And if you want to learn more about the solvers, you can go for LS Dyna, you can go for Abacus, you can go for Nastran, you can go for Encode, you can go for, yeah, you can go for all these solvers if you want to learn more about solvers. So design, pre-processing, and then solving, and then that's it, it's done. So these are the tools which you need to learn more about, so that you want to enter into the market. And triple E students, like, yeah, actually, like, we have electronic analysis and also EMI EMC team in our company, which we have like most of the triple E students into that area. I have seen people working on circuits and like more of research going on sensors, like I've already mentioned. So you need like artificial intelligence to the Python scripting is one of the most important thing, like which I have also tried to learn, but I couldn't learn much due to like other tried schedules at my office and personal life. So I recommend you to aim for artificial intelligence, because that's the future. I personally feel, and I have been seeing. So these are the tips which I wanted to give to all of the students who are available here. If you want anything, or if you want like if you want to know something, you can connect me through LinkedIn as well. Like I'm active on LinkedIn, like Lin Prince, you can type, I'll be available from my LinkedIn. You can ask any doubts or something like that. You can send your connection request or something like that if you are more interested towards knowing more things and all. Or you can feel free to ask now as well. So I just, yeah, you can ask me anything else if you want to know. So yeah, I just want to listen from you. Like, how was the presentation and all? So I think you came to learn some new points or something like that.
Yes, sir. Really awesome, sir. Means get into some new points, which earlier we don't know.
Yeah, that's what I just wanted to make it interactive, because I just don't wanted to give a lecture to you or something like that. I just wanted to give some important points, because that was a 7-day course which I've taken from the university. So I just wanted to break some things and important things. I just wanted to present it to you, so that you learn something from the pictures, and also you have some doubts or something like that, and then further you do the analysis, and then you come to learn great things and all. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, actually, there are hydrogen fuel cars actually, Sunil. So, but the thing is, like, it's difficult to store it, and also what happens is that it's not that reliable, I can say, because if you take AI and ML into consideration, that's a very different topic. Like, you have the artificial intelligence, the machine learning, which predicts the environment and all that, which is very important in the current scenario. And also, if you want to merge both that, yeah, it's possible. But what I would recommend more is like uh, uh, I would give a plus to electric cars, because I personally, I'm not. It's not like after 100 years you have more of hydrogen fuel cars. I strongly believe that after 40 years or 50 years, we'll be having more electric cars, because you can say the major car companies which are working like Tesla, and also we have the Google working on it, and we have the lot of funding from the government from US, we have from Canada as well, where they are more into electric. Even like the big shot of India, Mukesh Ambani is also trending towards e-commerce, right? So he's also more into like electric. He'll be dealing more with electric batteries more. So I personally feel that there's more of importance given towards the electricity, the sensors, and also the AI, all that, which is being given more importance. Yeah, that is, I can say, that has got more future, because if you take the chemicals, no, not the chemicals, I'm sorry, the fuel or the hydrogen fuel cars, all that, yeah, it's there, it's good, but yeah, this is what I wanted to say. The more people are towards it, so this can have a uh, higher, I can say, higher future or higher market value. Yeah, thank you.
Is anyone willing to share your views about the Vimna?
Yeah, you can call me. Actually, yeah, I'm young. Actually, I'm just 25. So I just know that like what makes you bored or what makes you interesting. So I have just taken some important elements. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a student like coming months or something like that. I'm gonna join a university again for my masters. So it's like we all are like same age. Okay, so you don't need to call me sir. You can just call me Lynn. So no issues. You can call me with name. And yeah, I can see like regarding electric technology with autonomous, is there anything regarding electrical and mechanical time constant? Tripura ma'am has asked something. Ma'am, can you repeat the question once, like, so that I can
So
just.
actually, you told that for autonomous cars, electric vehicle technology is used. Is
Yeah.
there anything regarding this mechanical time constant and electric time constant? Actually, electric time constant is very less, right?
Okay. Yeah. Time constant in the sense.
Tau. Mechanical time constant and how fast it can react. I
Acha.
can say
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I
the
got it.
system
I got it.
reacts.
Yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So, yeah, we can't. This. Yeah. So what happens is like when we have this. What is that? The reaction time into consideration. It doesn't make much difference between the electric time constant or the mechanical time constant. So what happens is we have this electric vehicles, which is we have the Hyundai Kona, right? Like we have one of the Hyundai cars. So I have read that it's doing pretty good in the market. So the response time, all that, like the sensors which is being there already, it's doing pretty well. The only constraint which is happening is that what is that, there are no proper stations available in the vicinity. So that's the only major concern. If you consider the time constant or the reaction time, if the system is taking to respond, it doesn't really make much difference, because like a lot of research and a lot of scope and a lot of what is that called, a lot of financial finance is being, funding is being given towards the electric thing. Because I have joined back in 2018 in my company, and we all had the regular cars which is there, uh, like the i20 I have worked on Seltos as well. I have worked on Creta as well. So now the projects which I'm working on, it's like almost many are electric vehicles. So we have many electric components coming into picture. I have designed like many electric components. So what I can say is that I might not be knowing much physics about like whether it takes like less time or more time, but I'm pretty sure that it should be doing the same or better. Because if it's not doing the same or better, uh, the it will not be released into the market. So that's one thing I'm pretty sure about. And yeah, that's what, like in the recent years, in this year I have worked on many projects, many electric cars. And are also planning future. That's what we'll be having, like many electric cars. What is that called, the engine cars, the fuel cars. Because we have, like, I think you are aware, like we have Ola Electric, Ola Electric scooters. It's planning, like we have a big production plant in Bangalore as well. And the Tesla is also planning to come in Bangalore as well. And like even there was a new track which is being made for testing also. And also even Hyundai, it started selling electric cars. Actually people are buying. The only thing is, if we have many more stations available in the vicinity, then I'm pretty sure that people will start buying electric cars very easily. Just like how we came from the small normal phone to the smartphones, everyone is using smartphones now. So that is where the electric cars has got into picture. So I think we'll be having like more of electric cars as well as the autonomous vehicles. Actually, yeah, this is a good question. So, because autonomous cars is like self-driving cars, so electric cars is something different. So, we have these two things, but these two things are being merged because that's the future. So that's what I'm saying. So you people are like lucky. Some are mechanical engineers, some are triples, some are working. So we both are going to, what is it called, collaborate with each other and then make things better. Because yeah, the course what I'm going to take is also like mechanical and mechatronics engineering. So mechanical plus electronics, which is, I felt it's going to be much better in the coming days. So yeah, so that's the thing. So these both are being collaborated, because it's not like completely electric or something like that, because you cannot uh, change the tires, you cannot change the throttle, you cannot change the tie rod of the steering, all that. So both, it's a mixture of both of these things. So both are important.
Yes, because of that, I even asked Yatish to give a lecture next month to talk about mechatronics.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yes, tell me.
yeah. I remember Yatish. Yeah, he was back in the university, right? Like you were mentoring all of us. So I remember we were in the
Yes.
same class.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for all the support and the guidance, like all the you link and all that following up, and all the students who are present here. You people are really awesome, I can say, because you are asking good doubts and you have been listening to whole my presentation and all that. So I'm really very glad and thankful, and it's my pleasure being with you all.
Ma, who is going to propose vote of thanks? Harshini?
Ma'am, I invite
Oh,
Dr. Swarnashree ma'am, mentor, IEEE RVR JC student branch, to speak a few words. Ma'am, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. George Lynn, for your very elaborate and interesting session on autonomous cars. I'm Professor Swarnasri, working in Aviat and JC for Department of Tripoli. Happy to see you here. And you made the session really interesting. Thanks for sharing your knowledge to our students. And good to know that you are a direct student of Tripura Madam. And the session is really informative and interactive. I have seen 7 or 8 webinars in the recent time which were organized to our students. But this time they asked so many questions to the speaker. It shows that how the session went on. And thank you once again. And when the college opens in its regular pace, you have to come and address our students again in physical mode. There we will assemble all the students, and you have to come to visit our college, and you have to give again. Right. Thank you
Sure.
once again. Over to you, Harshini.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
much. Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I invite Dr. Tripura ma'am, counselor, IEEE RVRJC student branch, to speak a few words. Ma'am, please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I thank the management and Swanasri madam for allowing me to organize all these kind of events under IEEE student branch. And next, I like to thank Lynn for accepting our invitation and acting as speaker for today's webinar. And really, it's very enlightening and also interactive, to say frankly. Very happy to see you like this, first of all. You really so many information into this time. Have given very thank you, Sangeet.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. All my pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to thank George Lynn Prince sir from bottom of my heart for delivering such a wonderful session on computer-aided engineering and autonomous vehicle and helping us learn more about autonomous vehicle. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would also like to thank all the participants for their cooperation in making this event a huge success, and I must appreciate the efforts of IEEE RVRJC student branch entire team for making the wheels of the event rolling. Thank you all.
Yeah, I had